Hey, I'm James Burnham. Thanks for joining me. I am doing my segment here where I react cold to a video that I get to watch, that I get presented from my team. And this one is the crazy hot matrix that some guy with a little pocket protector tie, like glasses, he looks like he's gonna break down some math to me. Here we go.
So this is the universal hot crazy matrix. It's everything a young man needs to know about women. I've developed this on my own over 46 years of living on the earth. So this is how it works.
So he's drawing a matrix.
You have your crazy axis and your hot axis. Hot is, as usual, measured from 0 to 10. We're all familiar with that.
0 to 10 on the hot axis.
Crazy is measured from 4 to 10 because, of course, there's no such thing as a woman who's not at least a 4 crazy. So you got 4 to 10. This is your hot crazy line right here. Very important that you keep in mind where the hot crazy line is. As a rule, this is your no-go zone. We do not hang around and date and marry women who are not, at least in our mind, a 5. So this is your no-go zone. You don't go here. We just rule this out. Life is better this way. That's the way it is.
In his matrix, anything in hotness below a 5, it doesn't matter how non-crazy or how crazy you are, it's a deal breaker. This is kind of like Simon Sinek's thing on Navy SEALs where he talks about teamwork and performance, right? High teamwork, low performance, we're going to take you because of the high team. Anyway, it's a totally different topic. But he's got this matrix going, and he's saying, whatever you define as a girl that is attractive, if she's less than a 5, no guy's going to go after a girl that's less than a 5. This is his thing.
Above a 5 and to about an 8, and below the crazy line, this is your fun zone. You can hang out here and meet these girls and spend time with them. That's your fun zone, but keep in mind when you're in the fun zone, you want to move out of the fun zone to a more permanent location. Okay? So that's the fun zone above a 5, hot, below an 8, hot, and below the crazy line. This means these are most of the time not crazy. Okay? Above the danger zone, above the crazy line, we have the danger zone. This is your redheads, your strippers, anyone named Tiffany. This is hairdressers. This is where your car gets.
Oh my gosh! All right, this whole thing's a joke. I'm sure it is. But right, he's like the danger zone above the crazy line on the hotness level of 5 to 8. Is a place you stay out of. This is redheads, strippers, girls named Tiffany, hairdressers, right? He's pulling up all the archetypes to tell you who to avoid. And you know what? This is the funny thing, right? Women will probably find this really offensive, but I've seen lists from women what they want out of men. And they'll make these extensive lists. Like a man has to be this and this and this. They'll have categories. I talked to this one girl. She had 59 things that she wanted from a man, and the best man she'd ever had 39, and all this stuff. But to me, right, these kind of lists, it's like training wheels. If you have to navigate with this type of stuff, you don't really have a good sense of who you are, where you're coming from, what you like. Right? It's a fun game to play with, but it's not if you're using this for real, you're in a world of hurt.
This is where your car gets keyed, you get a bunny in the pot, your tires get slashed, and you wind up in jail. Now that we have some of the chart filled in, we got a couple more pieces to put in, but at this point, understand something. This is not a static environment. This is a situation where you have got to use this matrix over time to develop some reliable data. It's like a dope chart, okay? Because at any moment in time, any woman that you have previously located on this chart can vanish from that location and appear anywhere else on the chart. So what you have to do is, over time, collect some data. And once you have a cluster of data points, you can begin to consider that reliable. Now, moving on, you have this zone here. This is below the crazy line, above an 8 hot, but still, you know, about a 7 crazy. This is your date zone. You can stay in the date zone indefinitely. These are women that you introduce to your...
So the date zone is someone that is below the 45-degree angle crazy line that is peaking out quite high. It's probably when a girl is at a level of an 8, whatever that is for a guy, hot, and she's high on the crazy list, it looks like it's around a 7 or 8 on the score on the crazy, right? So if you're near that 8 mark, not above near the 10, but you're near that and you're kind of above like a 5 to 6 on the crazy zone, this is the dating area. Hot girls, they're crazy, you can date them. And now he's going to drop down to the lower zone, lower on the crazy, 5 down, well, the lowest a woman can get is a 4. So I don't know what. So 4 to 6 in the crazy area and an 8 to a 10. These are your unicorns. He's going to tell us to marry these girls, right? We'll watch more of it. But the irony of this whole thing and everything he's saying and what he's doing, he's just pulling up archetypes of issues that men and women face and have. And he's just drawing on them and he's laying out these methods to deal with it, right? He says, you never know with a woman. You may have located her and had her pegged on this chart, and she can disappear from that location and appear anywhere on this chart at any time. And this is the fascinating thing about relationships between men and women. Because we see things differently, because we interact with the world in the way that we do, sometimes we choose to fall into judgment and say, that person's fucking crazy. But really, that person's just a little bit different than us. They see the world differently, and you might benefit from expanding your vision and saying, hey, maybe there's another way to look at this. Now, there's some people that are legitimately crazy. I'm not entirely convinced that it has to do with their hotness, although it's like with men that make a lot of money. I think that there are men out there, not all of them, but there are men out there that make a significant income and they become such losers because they think that because they make money, every girl should love them, right? However, that's not the case. Just because you have money, if you're a total jerk, you'll eventually find a girl that'll take you for your money, but she's not going to be that nice a girl. And it's the same. There's a lot of women that I've encountered that think that just because they're beautiful, they have nothing left that they need to offer. And that's a troubling thing for me. And that is crazy in my mind. But I think that men and women fall into these categories, and there's plenty of them. That's why this stereotype can exist. Your
friends and your family, they're good looking and they're reasonably not crazy most of the time. Okay? So you can stay here indefinitely. Now, above an 8 hot and between about a 7 and a 5 crazy, this is your wife zone.
Okay.
Okay? When you meet this girl, you should consider a long-term relationship. This zone is not scaled to size. This is a representation and not an actual. This is not a pie chart showing you how many of these people are out there. This is simply a representation of what you're after.
Is with this.
You want to be 5 to 7 crazy, above an 8 hot. That's your wife's zone. Okay? Now, below a 5 crazy and above an 8 hot, this is your unicorn zone. These things don't exist. If you find a unicorn, please capture it safely, keep it alive. We'd like to study it and maybe look at how to replicate that. Okay? So I was explaining this to a guy one time, and he said, wait a minute. I met this girl, and she's like smoking hot. She's like at least a 9, and she's chill. She's totally cool. She's like not even a 3 crazy. I said, you're telling me you've met a girl, she's a 9 hot, and she's like a 2 or a 3 crazy. He said, yeah, man, I like her a lot. I said, you should be careful. That's a dude. You're talking to a tranny. So you got to be careful, because down here below a 4 crazy and above an 8 hot, you're probably talking to a dude. That is the universal hot crazy matrix.
All right, Dana, that was pretty good. Now, let me ask you, like, for the women watching, is there a male version of that? I mean, would it also be?
Oh yeah, it's a little simpler.
If a dude is super hot, okay.
Yeah, it's a little simpler, but we can do it real quick. It doesn't take very long at all.
Find out what
for women,
dude matrix
this is your matrix. You got your cute axis, and
Men
you
are
got
cute.
your money axis.
And money.
Okay.
Cute and
And if you have, there's only 3 sections. Women have a very large no-go zone. This is for dudes who are neither hot nor have a lot of money. You'll notice over here, this is the husband section. Once you cross a line and have sufficient amounts of money, it is no longer relevant how hot you are. And then women have a fun zone here where a dude is broke but hot. That is the cute versus rich matrix for women.
So if you want to just fall totally into stereotypes, this is super funny, because in every stereotype, there's a piece of reality taken from the culture within which we exist, right? And men are valued for what they can produce as a standard. We know this, right? Women like men for what they can bring to the table. You can be a hideous man and you can get a beautiful woman if you got some money, right? I remember I was at a Lakers game in LA, and I was sitting there watching, and they did that love cam, and they pan on people and they got a kiss, and they're going through and everyone's like, ah. And then they pan to this couple, and the man was so ugly. He was hard to look at. His face was marked and pocked and saggy, and he had eyebrows, and he looked like he reeked just looking at him, right? And the girl sitting next to him was stunning, just beautiful. And the camera goes on them, and they look at the camera, and he plants a kiss on this girl, like a real kiss, right? It's leading with the tongue. And the whole audience in unison goes, ugh. It was the whole chorus, right? Everyone was revolted by it. But here was a woman that probably was crazy herself, and here was a man that was crazy himself, and they had managed to meet each other. Fascinating stuff. All these things just make me laugh. So, apparently there's a matrix for men, a matrix for women, and wow, it's a funny thing. I think that we do in our general lives. I honestly believe that we kind of do break down things like this in how we interact, right? Women have their lists, women have their things, their priorities, men have the same thing. And what I would suggest, a real way, I mean, it's fun to play with, it's kind of a thing to look at and say, oh yeah, but then at the end of the day, step out of the stereotypes, get real, make real connection, find somebody that is connected to you without a matrix, without training wheels of how to look at them, and see them for who they are. And I think you'll do a little bit better than this guy after 46 years who's wearing his pocket protector and writing on a board, and my guess, has never dated a girl above a 3. That's my guess. Hey, thanks for joining me. I got another video coming up where I react to TikTok dating, and I'd love for you to see that. Like, subscribe, follow, make a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'm James Burnham. Thanks for joining me.